Hi and welcome to Fight Club. This is Captain Banhammer. I'm here with Bob Dole and Hawkeye.
Our first fighters are Hector Hall, Dr. Fate, and Stephen Strange, Dr. Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme.
Bob Dole, what's our first topic?
Well, our first topic is, who are all the Dr. Fates and Sorcerer Supremes?
I know the first one's Amagato, that little bitty worm that I saw that was smoking like off of Alice in Wonderland. I don't know of any other Sorcerer Supremes. There's just so many, but I've always I thought the little worm was kind of cute from Alice in Wonderland.
You know about Dr. Voodoo?
Oh yeah, that's true. I do know Dr. Voodoo. I forgot about the black guy.
And on Dr. Fate's side, the only one I'm familiar with is Hector Hall because he's one of the most current Dr. Fates. I've seen him a little bit in Injustice, and it's interesting what he can do.
Alright, here the list of Sorcerer Supremes. We start off with Amagato, the Agamotto, actually is how you say it, the worm. And then there's Zerid Na. There's a lot of hard names to say in here, so bear with me. Aisha is next. Salome. Then Merlin, the guy from King Arthur, so that's interesting. Haram Shah is next. And then we got the Ancient One. We've actually seen him in the movie. Margalius Rados. And then we got Doctor Strange. Next up is Dr. Voodoo. And then Doctor Strange again.
Something happened to Dr. Voodoo?
Yeah, it seems that he died in the comics. It's kind of not as known, but it seems that he died. So Marvel seemed to write it in that Doctor Strange would become the Sorcerer Supreme again, and it's definitely been proven.
Take his rightful heir to the throne. I think it's kind of weird that they put in as Merlin as a Sorcerer Supreme, which is kind of out of left field. I mean, he's a good sorcerer, don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but
that was cool.
I didn't see that coming.
Alright, here's the list of Dr. Fates. We got, first up was Kit Nelson, next up was Eric Strauss, then Eric Strauss and Linda Strauss. They actually merged together and made one person for Dr. Fate. Very odd there. Then we got Inza Kramer, another girl, actually a girl Dr. Fate. Then we got Jared Stevens. Then we got the current Hector Hall. And then there's a new 52, which kind of took in a different direction, so we're not going to go there for now.
Oh, both sorcerers seem to have an impressive list of heirs.
And I don't know if you guys saw the Doctor Strange movie that came out, the cartoon.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was really good. I liked it. I also love the part where they're like, "You're going to be Sorcerer Supreme." And he's like, "Why? I don't want to be." He's like, "That's exactly why you're going to be it."
Yeah, that was a good scene there.
It was like a few, took me left field.
Alright, so what topic are we rolling into next?
Our next topic, the powers and abilities.
Powers and abilities. I think Doctor Strange uses a book of, what was that again, Cap?
That'd be the Book of Vishante, where it hosts all of the white magic spells of the Marvel Universe.
Which is mostly defensive spells and stuff like that, right?
That's right, defense, protection, healing. Those would be the general consensus of all those spells.
And then I'm assuming Dr. Fate uses a cross, which is kind of holy, I guess. He's supposed to keep order or something, right? You know about that, Cap?
Right, it seems like the cross is a focus or a medium, and you're right, he is a Lord of Order. His normal opposing forces are the Lords of Chaos.
Which is pretty cool. He also has a host of the body.
They obviously got a lot of equipments too. I'll go ahead and go over their powers, what we got here. Dr. Fate has all the powers at his disposal of Nabu, and he is presently new to the mystical arts and has a lot to learn, but his first showdown with Mordu was good. Indication Hector is no slouch. And it says that being reincarnated as Dr. Fate, Hector has no actual superpowers. He is a good hand-to-hand combatant. He used to be a superhero named Silver Scarab, and then I believe he was like Hour Man or something like that. Do y'all know what it was?
For a short amount of time, he was Hour Man, and he really didn't take that role on too long. It really was so short that he is hardly known for it.
Yeah, also he has a suit made of nth metal whenever he was the Silver Scarab, because his mom and dad are Hawkgirl and Hawkman.
That nth metal, does that counteract the magic, or is that just a myth or whatever?
It has a disrupting property, really.
It does?
That's another topic. We'll save that
We'll
one.
get to that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, and then for Doctor Strange, we got, it says he is described as the mightiest magician in the cosmos. He is more powerful by far than any fellow humanoid. Then it also says he was granted the title Sorcerer Supreme from the Ancient One.
I guess that kind of leaves it open to cosmic beings.
Yeah, I guess it does. Let me finish reading this here. It says that he has powers from such mystical entities as the Vishanti, which is a book, Hagath, Astur, and Amagato. That's some hard words to say there. He also has some crazy stuff like Siderac. Did you say something?
Yeah, those 3 that you listed, I believe those 3 together compose the Vishanti, which is where a lot of the power comes from.
There's more there, but they're all more of the same. And then he also gains powers from the Crimson Veins of the Siderac that he can use to entrap foes. He has the ability to use magic to virtually anything he desires, such as flight, immortality, energy blast, teleportation, astral projection, telepathy, creation of materials such as food and water, creating planet-wide protective shields, restoring himself from bodily destruction, resurrecting the dead, stopping and reversing time.
Jesus.
This is crazy stuff.
This is insane.
Sealing black holes, restoring universes. Who got this stuff?
And Dr. Fate's got none of that.
Well, you have to remember that Doctor Strange did have a long road of studying the mystic arts, and actually early on, when he tried to resurrect his brother, he accidentally turned him into a vampire. Actually, the first vampire in the Marvel Universe.
I did not know that. Thanks, Cap. Our next topic is?
Our next topic is the Nth Metal.
Oh, the Nth Metal. Is that the earlier topic we were talking about earlier? You said you want to save it this time. So does that protect him against magic? Because I've seen it in the Justice League show with Nth Metal. I've seen Shire swing her little mace around it.
Right, when she's taking on Solomon Grundy, right?
Exactly, yeah. I've seen that.
The properties of Nth Metal are a little vague sometimes, but they definitely state verbatim in the show that it disrupts magic. So we haven't seen an example of magic being cast directly against it and seeing what the effects are, but whenever it's being used against magic, it's been shown to be effective to divert it away from the wielder of the weapon.
Yes, it seems more as a disruptor instead of like immunity. Basically, you can still have magic cast on you with Nth Metal. You can just like use it not to get enchanted or to break out of some kind of bind and other things like that. Like, it is useful against magic, but it does not like protect you from having magic cast on you.
Wow, so Nth Metal isn't as powerful as I thought. And
what are we looking at next?
Well, our next one is about how Nth Metal is not the ultimate deal breaker in this fight, with it being Hector Hall, Hawkgirl's son and all.
That's true. He was the Silver Scarab for a while, but since donning the helm of Nabu, it seems like he's kind of done like Batman and retired that costume, so he really doesn't have quick access to it.
Well, we had one person talk about how he has an Nth Metal suit, so the battle would not even be like close at all. And we took that in a lot of consideration. We were very shocked by that. We were like, oh, that's a blowout by Dr. Fate. But after a lot of research, we have never even seen him use this. It was really only a Silver Scarab thing. He has never used it as Dr. Fate as we've seen it.
So Dr. Fate can just go home. He's like, during the battle, hey, stop. Sorcerer Supreme, let me go home and get my suit right quick, and then I'll come back and fight you.
Yeah.
Time out, let me get my wind weapon.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Fate is, he's just kind of takes over the body of Hector Hall, and he goes to his old self. Like, Dr. Fate is his own person, and Hector Hall is his host. So he's not going to go get his Hector Hall's Nth Metal. Like, we've never seen him do that in any of the shows or any of the comics.
Yeah, I mean, he could just take off that helmet at any moment and enchant it. Just take off his head, and he's back to being just a normal, average Joe.
This is true. Once the helmet on, Nabu is at the wheel.
And what do we got for our next topic?
It's Bob Dole.
Sorry.
Doctor Strange is Sorcerer Supreme again.
Oh, love Doctor Strange being Sorcerer Supreme. Couldn't pick nobody better.
I really like it in that since Brother Voodoo died, it did default back to him through title's sake that he once again was the strongest.
Yes, he is brand new in New Avengers in the Marvel now. He's now Sorcerer Supreme again. It's official. So
Sweet. Definitely look forward to reading more Sorcerer Supreme. What we got for our next topic?
the next one is that Hector Hall is not currently Dr. Fate because of the New 52. They kind of did something new with that.
Alright, so what are we looking at?
Well, it seems that our new one is some kind of new person named Kent Nelson V, which was a descendant of the first. We really don't know too much about him, and we're not going to use him in this.
Just some random Joe Doe.
Yeah, so...
Not enough history has been established on him yet to make it a worthy fight.
Well, we all know New 52 kind of restarted everything.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to wait until more information comes out about him, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. There's not enough for this fight at all.
Alright, so we're just going to default to previous Fate.
Yeah, what do we got for next topic?
Our next topic is, what if Doctor Strange could steal the helmet?
Oh, it's just, the fight's over. It's done.
Oh man, it really is like that knockout punch in round one. I mean, you hit him right, it's over.
Yeah, it's just completely, he's just stone cold.
Yeah, that's kind of a big flaw in this fight. Like, if he could steal it, he'd become even more powerful version of himself, and that'd be crazy.
It's like he's like a little kid and he's at school. He just pulled down his pants in front of everybody, and everybody's like, "Ooh, look at him!"
Yeah, that would be an embarrassing way to lose that fight.
Yeah, just take his helmet off. What do we got for next topic?
What are the equipments of Doctor Strange?
Oh, I got this one.
Oh.
Let's start off with the Eye of Amagata. What he has there is a relic from the first Sorcerer Supreme that has a multitude of powers, ranging from being able to lift up extremely heavy objects to reading opponents' minds. To the most impressive feat of the Eye of Amagato is that he can actually put someone into suspended animation.
Sounds pretty intense.
That's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
The other artifact that he has is the Cloak of Levitation. It's not to be joked around with either, because although he can achieve flight through his magic, the cloak allows him to do it effortlessly, so he doesn't have to waste any energies on maintaining multiple spells.
Like in Marvel Alliance too?
Yes, just like that.
He just float around the whole thing, you know? So,
Yeah, we know... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry about that. Other properties of the cloak are it's resistant to elements and magic, and then it also can take on shapes of whatever the wearer tries to will it into, such as a business suit. And then the last property of the cloak is that it can act as an extra appendage, such as if there's a dagger flying at you, it can sling out and grab the dagger. That's about all I know about the cloak, though. So,
well, I mostly hear about the Eye of Amagato. That's what they all... Dr. Doom wants to steal all the time. That's what everyone wants. And, that's what the Sorcerer Supreme gets. Like, Brother Voodoo got it for a while.
so it's by far the most powerful beast, and Doctor Strange has one in his body. That's what we're trying to say, right?
that is his most powerful artifact at his disposal.
Dr. Fate, he also has the Cloak of Nabu and the Helmet of Nabu.
That's our next topic, actually.
I'm sorry.
Our next topic is what are Dr. Fate's equipments. And I'll go ahead and take the lead on this one, that they're the Helmet of Nabu, the Amulet of Nabu, and the Cloak of Nabu. They all three make up the Dr. Fate, and without the helmet, they're not as powerful. The helmet's basically the most powerful one, and they make you become Dr. Fate, basically.
So if he loses the helmet, is he helpless?
No, actually, he can still... let me find the text here. If he loses the helmet, he still has flight, super strength, invulnerability, and telekinesis.
So if he takes the helmet off, he doesn't have his magic anymore, but he has those properties right there. He's just listed, right?
Yeah, we've seen that portrayed differently in some things, but that seems to be what the bios say. Also, here's a little description of all of his equipment. It enables him to do spell casting, intangibility, telepathy, wind manipulation, light projection, creating darkness. What does that even mean? The ability to convert matter into energy and energy into matter. The ability to see people's fates and destinies. Sounds like the Ghost Rider. Ice manipulation, creating energy constructs, creating solid objects, energy absorption, the ability to wield both black chaos and white order magic.
Wow, that's an impressive list of magic there. Is there a difference between how Marvel describes magic and how DC describes magic?
Well, actually, that's our next topic. The differences in Marvel and DC magic.
I've read some Doctor Strange stuff, and every time I see Doctor Strange cast some magic, there's always a little title somewhere on that page saying, from the book of, or from the tomb of, saying where he learned that spell.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's like a little reference. It's really awesome.
Which is really cool.
Now, when it comes to Dr. Fate, from what I've seen, he seems to just, like, point and cast. Is that true?
Well, there's a lot less on Dr. Fate. I mean, they tie in Doctor Strange in a lot of novels, graphic novels, and hardbacks of Marvel. Dr. Fate really doesn't show up in the big stuff. He really just has his own thing, unless you're reading that. And he was in the JSA a lot, and a lot of people don't read those as much. But it just really changes on the author. It kind of sucks. So he doesn't have reference points like Doctor Strange does. He really just kind of... we see him do, like, shooting crosses a lot.
Yeah, I see that all the time. Definitely.
Yeah, he has, like, containment binds and, you know, all the stuff we listed earlier, so...
One of his big thing, he throws crosses at people and stuff. Catches them in them.
It's kind of lame.
Crucifies them.
So maybe a non-somatic caster?
Yeah.
Well, we got off topic a little bit. In Marvel, the magic seemed to be, you know, all from some source of, like, some book, some spell, some past thing. In DC, they kind of have magic really odd with, like, the Shadow Pact, which is Dr. Fate, Detective Imp, Zatanna, and Blue Devil, and all those guys. Like, Zatanna just says words backwards and they happen. Like, obviously magic's really different in the universes there.
So it's almost like each magic caster has a unique way to manipulate the magic.
Yeah, DC is not very consistent in their magic. Like, this is almost uncomparable, kind of.
I noticed in the Young Justice that Zatanna was taken over by Dr. Fate, which is...
Yeah, that was interesting. Dr. Fate, like, totally controlled her, and he didn't want to give her up.
Yeah, and her father, what's her father's name?
Zatara.
Yeah, Zatara actually begged him to.
Aqualad even put on the Dr. Fate helmet for a second there, and he beat everyone up as Dr. Fate. But then, yeah, so Aqualad was Dr. Fate for a while, but then Dr. Fate wanted to keep him because he didn't have a host. He was just sitting around as a helmet, and then they finally convinced him to let him go. Then after Zatanna did it on the show, he wouldn't let Zatanna go, so his dad took her place. And
so for the TV series, he took up the mantle of Dr. Fate.
yeah, Zatara did, which obviously isn't in any of our bios, but that's how they chose to do it in this.
So that works.
I can't think of a better character than Zatara to take
Yeah,
over
that's
Dr.
true.
Fate.
He's a pretty awesome character. Some of these characters are no names.
Yeah.
Alright.
Average Joseph. Hey, what do we got for our next topic?
The Order of Chaos.
Alright, the Order of Chaos basically is the evil magic users of the DC universe, such as Morgan Le Fay's son, who has the immortality and eternal youth cast on him. He is constantly causing chaotic trouble, which is he's just out to disrupt any law and order that he can find to fulfill his own sadistic pleasures. And so that is where the Lords of Order do step in to intervene.
Didn't you say that you think Dr. Fate cannot attack someone unless they're like the opposite of Order?
That's what I'm thinking. From how it's been presented in the Lords of Order and all the series that I've watched, it seems like he can't intervene unless something is going to disrupt the proper order.
Okay, so basically it's like a walking spirit bomb, like from a Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, kind of. Like, he can't hurt good people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he basically doesn't fight anything unless it's chaos. The two categories are chaos and order.
Because, I mean, it can be seen in the Justice League series that even... It's the episode where Hawkgirl does go to town on Solomon Grundy with the Nth Metal, that he's even standing back from that, saying, like, he has to watch the situation to see what happens before he can intervene.
That's interesting.
So he's got some pretty harsh rules on what he can and can't do.
What do we got for our next topic?
Our next topic is how we don't think this would come down to a fist fight or a one-hit spell to finish him. We have a lot of people saying that would be how it comes down in other people's versions of this fight, but we really don't think that's how it would end.
I'm a big fan of when it comes to Magic, there being a lot of reactionary casting. Which there might be a fast spell that comes out intended to be a big hit.
Counter spells.
Right. It seems like it's going to be a lot of reaction. Stop your spell, cast my spell. Stop your spell, cast my spell.
Basically, time to talk faster, you know? Just get that spell right out there before
That's a good point.
Right, where that
Zatanna
does,
would be good at that.
that does seem like Dr. Fate does have a slight edge in that, since he doesn't have very many verbal components.
Yeah, he just basically just does it really
Well,
fast.
they're both pretty quick. I've seen him like, react to like blasts or bombs or anything. But basically,
true.
like, we have a lot of people saying Dr. Fate would win in a fist fight because obviously Dr. Strange's hands are all crippled up, and so that's obvious. Dr. Fate would win in a fist fight. But come on, these guys aren't going to fist fight. They're like the best magicians in their universe. They're not going to fist fight.
Especially when both have different accesses to teleportation styles to get out of situations like that.
And you pretty much can't assume one of them's just going to say one spell and just finish the other either. You're going to assume it's a long duel or something like that.
Hey, is it the book? He says the book of say it again,
Ashanti.
sorry. Ashanti. It's got thousands of spells in it. I bet you can like counteract any kind of magic. I mean, as you can say, it definitely wouldn't come down to a fist fight. I don't think these are sorcerers, man.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, we're also assuming like they're not just getting the jump on each other. They're assuming they know that the other one is coming and they're going to fight for some reason. Like, you can't assume they just jump one of them in the alley and like get some with a big spell. That's just like, there's too many out of bounds plays there, and like that makes the argument invalid. You got to assume they both have prep work involved.
Right.
What do we got
Well,
coming up?
The next thing is announcing the winner.
Ooh.
All right. Well,
This
the
part.
winner is Dr. Strange.
Woo! Yay! Love that guy.
Well, we got some complicated voting system on our thread here. It's 33% the polls from the members, 33% the admins, and 33% the comic specialist for the month. So we add all those together, and with that we have a winner. And we're going to list the reasons why here. So the first reason why is Doctor Strange would be more prepared.
This is true. The thing that we didn't mention in the lead-up talk is that Doctor Strange does go outside of the Book of Vashante to find some more spells, just in case he finds himself in a situation that he needs something else. So he does have some aggressive spells that he learned from the darker books.
Yeah. Well, he always does his prep work. You see him studying like every single second of every day.
Yeah, he's always meditating and stuff.
And here's something I found really funny doing my research for Doctor Strange. He actually has a spell for studying. He has a spell that helps him study.
That sounds
We also saw he even knows the dark magic stuff because that's why he lost his Sorcerer Supreme. I don't think a lot of people know that. He lost it because he used some dark magic to save, I think, a fellow Avengers teammate. I'm not sure who he saved quite, but he saved somebody with dark magic, and he deemed it not worthy to be Sorcerer Supreme anymore, and then he's failed him, and then it left and picked a new host.
Which people, right?
Yeah, and they were worried like Dr. Doom might get him for a while or some evil person.
Yeah, there was so many people that lined up. The Hood, Dr. Doom, Voodoo was one of them. Wiccan from the Young Avengers was one of them. He like tried to find whoever it was. It was just getting pretty intense.
Yeah, it was crazy. So also, Doctor Strange always was commenting about how Brother Voodoo or Dr. Voodoo never studied enough. And it just really is a testament to how much he prepared. So,
and that's true. That's another thing that you see him do is that it was actually quite comical when I saw it for the first time. Was that he was talking to an Avenger about what to do next. And the Avenger was saying, "Well, we got to track this guy down." And Doctor Strange says, "And now we study."
Yeah, it's literally all he does. You can predict it like that easy. So basically, he's just doing it all the time.
He definitely makes hundreds on this test.
And don't forget, we're assuming they prepared for the fight. And don't get me wrong, Dr. Fate would prepare a lot too, but I just don't think he would prepare as much as Dr. Strange. Like, Dr. Fate prepares all the time too. He's been around forever. He knows all the stuff too.
He's always in that room with all the weird steps and stuff.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they're both preparing, but you gotta admit Dr. Strange would have an edge from any kind of comic, like, bias.
Of course, he's Sorcerer Supreme!
Well, 2-time Sorcerer
That's
Supreme.
actually our next point. He is Sorcerer Supreme, and we think titles go a long way.
Yeah, when it comes down to magic fights, a lot of the time just who you are really does matter in a fight, because the title has some kind of sway. In normal fantasy, knowing a demon's name sometimes will grant a sway over that demon. And so I believe that holds true when it comes to magic titles. Is the reverse of if you have the magic title over someone, you've got a little bit extra edge.
I've heard the title Protector of Nabu for Dr. Fate, but it's not really as mighty of a title as Sorcerer Supreme, where the whole world is waiting to see who the next Sorcerer Supreme is.
Yeah. Sorcerer Supreme is like definitely a major title. I mean, I can understand where you're coming from.
It's a giant thing in Marvel.
Yeah. What we got next?
Our next reason why is that Doctor Strange's equipment just seems better. He has more equipment, and the sources of magic seem more vast and ever-expanding.
That's true. I gotta give it to Nabu for dividing his magic up into 3 parts. That seems like a really good idea, but it doesn't exactly boost your punch whenever it comes down to a fight. I mean, you may be at your maximum power, but Doctor Strange went that little bit extra distance and said, "Okay, I'm good, but how about I hang on to these extra artifacts here, the Cloak of Levitation, and I
boost me up."
He has a lot of artifacts, basically.
Yeah,
Doctor Strange has a ton.
All those artifacts just make him Sorcerer Supreme.
Stuff you never even knew he had, he just randomly has it on him. And he has, I mean, they're not as strong, but he still has them. Also, the main point was that he has books of spells and things like that in the Vashante, and he always is listing them. And Dr. Fate, we never know what he's doing. He seems to be shooting crosses sometimes. He seems to be shooting random things. Like, it's really at the mercy of the author, and it doesn't really have any consistency. It doesn't seem to be as many spells as Doctor Strange has, by far.
Yeah. Dr. Fate looks like a hardcore Christian or something. Go with God, go with God. So, what do we got coming up?
Our next one is Dr. Fate is only able to attack evil, as we mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and that's a real limiting factor, especially when you know you're going into a fight going, alright, I gotta fight this guy, and he's not a bad guy, so I gotta let him throw the first punch.
To make him, respond, I guess.
Yeah, that would be interesting in the fight. I mean, it would definitely affect him.
I understand. What's weird is what would define a person from good and evil. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have their own, sometimes bad guys are misunderstood.
I mean, we're not going to get into a philosophical debate about it.
Yeah, I understand, but wouldn't that, limit him
I
from
guess
something else?
in a comic book world, anyone trying to harm the world or universe they're in would be chaos or evil.
Right, and that's usually a good thing they do with magic users and stories, is early on in their stories they do lay out a good principle guideline of these are the people you can stop, these are the people you protect.
What do we got coming up?
Dr. Fate has taken over as host Hector Hall, and they're not always on the same page. That could really affect the fight.
Is that where they have battles in the mines? Because I've seen that in Young Justice also.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's basically two people and they can argue with each other, where Doctor Strange is just one person thinking nonsense.
So it's just him, he studies all the time, and then he just like thinks of something, does it. There's no reaction. So like a ping, you would say Dr. Fate would have.
Yeah, we're not sure this would affect the fight, but I mean, there's a chance it would, so you got to mention it. I mean, Hector Hall has been Dr. Fate for a while as that goes on, so you know they're probably in good sync now.
Probably best friends.
But still, like you never
crosses.
know. Like they never fought anyone like Doctor Strange either. So.
Yeah. What do we got?
Well, our last topic is that Doctor Strange has just seen it all. He's fought people of all kinds of powers and worldly, universal, ending powers. I mean, Doctor Fate has too, but there's just nothing Doctor Strange has not seen. Like you were talking about the Civil War earlier. What was his role in the Civil War?
Yeah, basically, I mean, they claim Wong came to him and says, you know, you could end the whole Civil War with like just a whisper. And Dr. Fate's like, Dr. Strange is like, you know, I'm not going to do that. You know, I got to let nature take its course. I'm not going to stop something to interfere with it.
Yeah, he's powerful enough to end the whole Civil War by himself. And he's just seen everything. He's been there for every big event. And they use him a lot more in Marvel than they use Dr. Fate.
That would have been pretty cool. A surprise though, like Wong coming up and saying, "Hey, in the Civil War," and then like that's the last issue of Civil War. Civil War's over like that. Cap would have died or nothing.
What if?
This is true. Having him as a used character in the storyline, I remember him coming in at the end of House of M to make sure that Wanda didn't go off the deep end and just wreck everything. Also, he is picking up a mantle in the Defenders in recent comics.
Yeah.
And he jumps over to the Avengers, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's in the latest Avengers.
Yeah, I wish he could have came there sooner and helped Wanda out instead of killing me in House of M.
He'll probably be in the new Avengers movie coming out too. So
I'm pretty excited for that. Definitely. I heard he might make an appearance in Thor. Is that what you're saying, Thor 2?
Yeah, there's really strong reason to believe he'll be in Thor 2 if it's just a small mention or a cameo or an actual role in it. So.
Alright guys, well this is our Fight Club from Marveldcforum.com.
Hope you enjoyed.
Thanks for listening.
See you guys later.